hear this, they say, well, we can, we can relate to this person. He is addressing our concerns. So you've got to be very upfront about immediately addressing their issues, what they are concerned about. You can say Islam is a peaceful religion, but then they will ask, what about all the fights and the killing that is happening in the Muslim world? You can say all the nice things about Islam, but people seem to be coming in and before they start appreciating what Islam teaches, people want to know, what about my own issues? What do you have to say to address them? So I think this is very important, that when people go out there to these people, we're not creating a utopia. We're just saying, this is what's going on. I know your concerns. Let's talk about your concerns.
And observing the way the media reports about Islam and Muslims, I mean, do you find that it's consistently negative, or sometimes it's ignorantly negative?
It would have to be both. I think that sometimes you can excuse the media, but you expect the media to be able to do, I would say a decent amount of homework before they start making, these big statements that they sometimes tend to be making about Islam. And some of it is ignorance, and some of it is just sheer bias and racist and prejudice.
And when you go to these, when you give talks about Islam, when the people, I'm sure you open up for questions and answers. So what are some of the common questions you get, even after you may have explained it fully, but what do people ask you?
It's interesting. You would think that people would ask a lot about, let's say, what's going on in 9/11 and politics and the war and what have you. But I found that most people are not really interested in this. People personalize their questions. They want to know, what are your thoughts on the hereafter? As a Christian, for example, what are your thoughts on Jesus? Or as a Christian, do I go to hell or do I go to heaven? So these are the type of questions.
Okay, but I know we have to have some hikmah sometime when dealing with the people. When they ask you, am I going to hell or going to heaven? How do you deal with that question?
Well, we immediately say, as Muslims, we do not play the role of God in who gets to go where. We say that those who are rewarded, it is done because of the grace of God and the fact that they have put the effort. And those who are punished, they're punished because of their deeds and because of the justice of God. So I say, let's not play the role of God in determining who gets to go where. And in a way, you're not avoiding the answer, but truly, we don't really play the role of God in determining who gets to go where. And we would say, just make sure that if you want to go to the better place, make sure that you have a behavior that would enhance your chances of going into that place.
MashaAllah. Well, Imam, I thank you very much for taking some of your valuable time and sitting with us. But before we conclude, as being an imam for quite a number of years here in America, I want to ask you, what is your thoughts on the future outlook for Islam in America?
America needs Islam. And
I'm sorry, but that's nice. What do you mean when you say America needs Islam?
It really does need Islam. America is a beautiful place, and I sincerely mean this. And it's a beautiful place, and I believe that as Muslims, we have to give back to the people that have been good to us. And the best thing that we can give back is share Islam with these people. Not convert them, but rather convey the message. Not convince them, but rather bring an understanding, so that we can really say that we are peacefully coexisting on the basis that a message has been conveyed and understanding has been brought between the people who are living here. The teachings of Islam are universal teachings. When I see people being punctual, that is Islam. When people are organized, that is Islam. When people are compassionate, that is Islam. So we see all of this. We see a lot of Islam being practiced here. And as Muslims, I say, look, this makes it easier to become a Muslim. So what we need to do is we need to start sharing Islam with these people.
Okay, so you think the outlook for the future of Islam is good here in America?
Provided that we do our homework, which is bring a personal face into the religion. People talk about us, but they do not know who we are. So we all are, as individuals, we are all ambassadors to and of Islam.
Okay, Imam, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
And may Allah reward you for all the good works and increase you and make your efforts more fruitful, inshallah. And I'm joined here by one of my brothers in Islam, an Islamic Center of Mission Viejo, Brother John Shoresmith. Did I say that correctly?
Not quite. Sharsmith.
Sharsmith.
It's difficult. MashaAllah.
So tell us a bit about yourself and how you came to Islam.
Well, I've been seeking religion for a long time in my life. I looked into Catholicism. I studied Taoism for a while. Became an expert at it. I looked into the Hindu religion through the Bhagavad Gita. I've read Nietzsche. I've read some Marx, Kant. I studied English at Saddleback College, the honors English course, and through that course, read a number of different points of view and visions of what the world should be about. And
can I ask you, was there a particular catalyst or something going on in your life which motivated you to start searching through the different religions?
yes, let's say dysfunctional family life when I was a child. And just without me blaming anyone, just we'll leave it at that. More importantly to me was the catalyst that brought me to Islam. Now, because of the religious studies that I had already undergone, I realized that there were certain principles that are applied in religion and in politics and in socialism. One of those principles is called scapegoating. And it's a concept that's very familiar to the Russians. And I never pronounce the Russian names right, but the brothers Karamazov talks about a scapegoat. And there are others. Leslie Lagoon wrote a book about a scapegoat. It's a concept of, just briefly, for those that don't understand the concept of scapegoat, it is a person who is isolated for the benefit of the entire group. For example, without getting fully into the concepts, because it's a very deep concept, when September 11th occurred, I realized that the United States of America, for whatever reason, had decided to scapegoat Islam.
And were you Muslim at that time?
No, I was not. I was undecided, non-denominational, still seeking. And the reason that I decided this is complicated, the fact that the United States was about to scapegoat Islam. Maybe, maybe not. It simply appeared to me that that was what was going to happen. And so I thought to myself, well, if we're going to scapegoat a race of people and we're going to go after them as the cause and problems of the Western nations, it would be nice to read some of their literature, hear a few of their songs, and at least find out what they're all about before we undergo the process of persecution and oppression for an entire race of people.
Right.
So I purchased a Quran, not a translation, just the literal English to Arabic translation of the Quran. And I began to read it. And to me, it seemed like poetry. But the meaning, because I don't understand Arabic, really wasn't there. And I decided to look into it a little bit further, as I assumed that that could not possibly be the whole of the religion. So I came here to this mosque that you're in right now, and I spoke with Sheikh Yasser, and he gave me what's called the King Fahad version of the Quran, which is a Quran that was translated in 1400 AH by a team, and I mean a world team of scholars, with the intent of translating the intensities of the Arabic language for English-speaking people, so that the full meaning of the word becomes apparent.
Right.
When I read that version of the Quran, in my own mind, I said,